Part of this course is personal finance. So in Spiral 4, our take on personal finance is about credit cards. So we're going to look at managing credit cards in this lesson. So a credit card is basically a small loan that you can use for purchases. So if I go to the gas station, I can use my credit card to purchase the gas. I'm taking out a loan from the credit card company, MasterCard or Visa or whatever. So because it's a loan, I have to pay it back. And if you don't pay it back by the due date, you're going to have to pay interest. They're going to calculate interest. And usually with credit cards, it's pretty high interest, around 20%. So you want to make sure you pay everything off on time so that you're not charged a ridiculous amount of interest. So some advantages to using credit cards. Well, if you use a credit card and you pay things back on time, that can actually build your credit rating, which you need a good credit rating in order to take out, say, a mortgage or another large loan for whatever reason. Banks want to know that you're going to pay your loan back. So if you use a credit card wisely, you can actually build your credit rating and be able to take out bigger loans in the future. A major disadvantage to using a credit card, though, is kind of what I mentioned before. If you don't pay back your bill on time in full, whatever is left remaining on your bill is going to get charged interest, and it's a high rate of interest. So you can get in trouble if you don't pay back your bills all the time. So who should use a credit card? Well, basically responsible people. If you can manage yourself enough to only spend money that you know you actually have and not put things on your credit card that are more expensive than what you can afford, then you're probably in good shape to use a credit card. You should not use a credit card if you're spending more than you have. If you're purchasing $1,000 item with a credit card and you don't have $1,000 in your bank account, you're going to get into trouble because you're not going to be able to pay that back. So basically, if you're responsible with your money, it's perfectly fine to use a credit card. If you have a hard time managing your money, you should not use a credit card. I worked at a store once where people would come in and they would give me a credit card to pay for their item, and it would be declined because they maxed it out. So then they pull out another credit card and it's maxed out. If that's you, if you find yourself in that situation, you should not be using a credit card. Now, one thing I want to go over before we get into calculations is credit card statements or a credit card bill. If you have a credit card and you use it, you're going to get something that looks like this, either in the mail or online through online banking, but it'll look like this. And basically, on a credit card statement, it tells you a few things. And I have different words over here, different terminology that you'll find on a credit card statement. Previous balance. You'll find that right here on this example. Previous balance was $74.24. So the previous balance is simply what you owed last month. So for this example, this person owed $74.24 last month. Now you can see their payments last month. They paid it off. Credit limit. Here we see it on this example. Their credit limit is $1,500. So a credit limit is the maximum amount of money that you can put on a credit card. It's the maximum amount of purchases you can make. Now, a credit limit, oftentimes people think it's a bad thing because you're being limited to how much you can spend. But really, this is a good thing because if you limit yourself to only putting $1,500 on your credit card each month, then you can save yourself from spending too much. So a credit limit is not necessarily a bad thing. Available credit is how much is left over. So this person has a credit limit of $1,500. They've spent a bunch of money. So what's left over? This amount is available still. They can still spend this much on their credit card. The new balance is how much you owe this month. So on this credit card statement, you see the new balance here. You see the new balance here. You also see current amount due. Those are all the same number. They mean the same thing. The new balance is how much you owe this month. The minimum payment. Here we see minimum payment due, $20. A lot of people get stuck here and get into trouble because they think, oh, minimum payment due, $20. So I'm only going to pay $20. The minimum payment is the lowest amount that the credit card company will accept as payment in order for you to not get into trouble with them for not paying back your loan. This doesn't mean that you only have to pay back $20 this month. So people get into trouble here because, well, they owe almost $300, but hey, I only have to pay $20. So they think it's a good deal. But if you only pay $20, you've got like $250 left over. That amount is going to get charged interest, compounded daily until you pay it back. So you get into trouble if you only make the minimum payment. The due date, kind of self-explanatory. That is the day that the credit card company needs to have the money to be accepted as payment. So you want to watch out here, because if you go to your online banking on the due date, sometimes the transaction might not go through until maybe 2 business days later. So you would now have a late payment. So it's a good idea to pay your credit card bill a few days before it's due, and that way you'll make sure that the credit card company gets it on time and you won't have to pay any interest on late charges. Now, sometimes on credit card statements, this isn't made very clear, but that's the interest rate. So on this example, you've got 2 different rates depending on the situation, but usually your interest rate is around 20% for credit cards. That's typically the average. But if you make your payment in full by the due date, you don't have to pay any interest because you're paying it on time. If your payment is not made in full, that's when the interest is charged, and it's compounded daily. So if you take a whole month to pay back the rest of your bill, that's 30 days of interest being charged. So Joe's credit card statement is shown on the previous page, what I just went through with you. How much money does Joe need to pay the credit card company? Well, that was his new balance, or the current amount due. It was $278.50. When is his payment due? Well, it said 0301, so that's March 1st. If Joe makes his payment in full 5 days after the due date, how much will he owe the credit card company in interest? So he's paying it 5 days late. That means he's going to get charged interest. This is compound interest, so we're going to use the compound interest formula. P, the present value, or the principal in this case, would be the original amount that he owes, $278.50. I is the interest rate. According to the credit card statement, it's 19.8%, so 0.198, but it's compounded daily, so we have to divide that by 365. Now, n is the number of compounding periods. Since it's compounded daily, n is the number of days. Well, it's 5 days after the due date, so n is 5. So when we plug that into the calculator, it ends up being $279.26. So that's the new amount that Joe owes the credit card company when he pays 5 days late. But we still haven't answered the question. It says, how much will he owe the credit card company in interest? So how much interest was he charged? Well, if he originally owed $278.50 and now he owes $279.26, the difference between those numbers is the amount of interest. So we'll just subtract those, and it ends up being a difference of 76 cents. So Joe will owe an extra 76 cents in interest. Now, you might not think that's a lot for 5 days overdue, but if you take longer than 5 days to pay it back, that amount is going to grow and grow and grow, and still you're paying more than what you should have to pay. So why not just pay your bill on time? If Joe only makes the minimum payment each month, what will the balance be in 3 months? Okay, so he originally owes $278.50. The minimum payment due was $20, if you remember from the credit card statement. So let's just say Joe only pays $20. Now he still owes a certain amount. That amount is going to get charged interest for the next 30 days, the next month. And then he's only going to pay $20 again. So let's see what happens to his remaining balance on his credit card in 3 months. Now I'm going to set this up as a chart with the due date, the amount due, how much he pays, and once the payment is done, how much is remaining on the balance. And I'm going to update it each month. So the first due date was March 1st. The amount due was $278.50. If he's making the minimum payment, that's $20. So how much is left? Well, the amount due minus the payment, it's $258.50. So now a whole month passes before the next due date. What is his new balance going to be? How much is he going to owe? Well, this amount that was left over last month has interest charged on it. 19.8% compounded daily. Now, just for simplicity, let's just say there's 30 days in every single month. So we're going to compound that over 30 days. So that's what it looks like in the compound interest formula. And when we plug that in, we get $262.74. That's his new balance. So last month, he owed $278.50. He paid $20, but the amount due didn't go down $20 for next month. It only went down about $15.76. So he paid $20, but it didn't take $20 off of the amount due. So anyway, now he owes $262.74. He makes his minimum payment of $20. The amount remaining would be $242.74. So in the next month, that amount carries over, but it's compounded every day for 30 days. He ends up owing $246.72 in the next month. He makes his $20 payment, ends up with a balance remaining of $226.72. So now the next due date, that amount's going to carry over, but the interest was compounded daily for the last 30 days. Now he still owes $230.44. So after 1, 2, 3 months, he still owes $230.44. It's as if he makes a payment, but then the interest gets charged and he goes back. He's taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so this is a very slow process. And if you look at how much he's actually paid so far, he's paid $60, but his amount due has only gone down $48 approximately. So that's 12 extra dollars that he's been paying. And you can imagine by the time he actually pays this off, he's going to have spent a lot of money in interest that he didn't need to do if he had just paid the whole thing off on the first due date. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you can continue this pattern and figure out how long it's going to take him to pay the whole thing off. But hopefully you can see that it's a bad idea to just make the minimum payments, because you're going to end up paying a lot more than you need to, and it's going to take forever.